many of you play sports? Sports. What sport do you play? Track. Practice a lot for track. Yeah. When you're not injured, I feel free. When you run track, do you wear a dress? Why? Why is that not practical? Not gonna work too well. Okay. Here. This sports you play? Football. When you play football, do you wear a swimsuit? Why not? It's not the uniform. Why not? What difference would it make? No pads. That'd be kind of unfair to do. We're wearing pads with a swimsuit. Other sports. Other sports. What else play sport? I used to do equestrian. So when you are riding your horse, do you wear a dress? No. Why not? Because if it's windy, kind of flap up and see everything under there, you don't want to see everything. That'd be kind of awkward riding around the horse. Other sports. Other people. Come on. More of you play sports. Soccer. When you play soccer, what do you wear to play soccer? Why don't you wear jeans? Okay. Good. Other sports? Gymnastics. When you do gymnastics, do you wear jeans? Why not? Kind of hard to do all those tricks and flips and jumps. And what do you do in gymnastics? I'm just curious. Yeah. Do you do them all? Or? Oh, that's crazy. That's hard. Heard basketball over here somewhere? When you play basketball, do you wear a three-piece suit? You said basketball, right? Do you wear a three-piece suit to play basketball? Why not? So when you used to play basketball, or when you do play basketball, I mean, even if you're not on a team or whatever, do you wear a three-piece suit to play basketball? Why is that not right? Why not? I mean, any of you had a job interview? Did you wear basketball shorts? No. Why not? Did you get hired?
Yeah. I mean, my sister right there.
Any of you ever been to a funeral? Do you wear a swimsuit to a funeral? Not really appropriate. So what do you wear to a funeral? Dress clothes, usually all black. I ask you all these questions because I'm getting the sense that there is a norm, what is considered normal and acceptable for whatever sport you play or whatever activity you're doing. If I walked into class on the first day of class and I was wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt, would you take me very seriously? Maybe I'll try that next year. If I would have walked into my job interview for this school, would you think I would have gotten hired? Probably not. Why not? Unprofessional. But does it really matter what I look like? To you, no, but to some people, yes. I mean, that first impression, right? If I would have walked in on my first day of job interview, if I would have come in, and it was a hot day, it was like 90 degrees out that day, and and I walked in wearing a suit. But if I would have walked in wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt, which is probably what I wanted to be wearing when it was 90 degrees outside, probably wouldn't have gotten hired. At the end of the day, am I the same person regardless of what I wear? Isn't it what's here and here that matters and not what I'm wearing? Right? I mean, it should be what's in your mind and in your heart that matters. That should be what matters. But unfortunately, in our society, it is not. I told you before, and I'll tell you again, every step you take, every move you make, people are watching you. They're judging you, they're observing you, they're making determinations on what they think of you, and for better or worse, a lot of what people judge you on is based on what you wear. People will walk around and they'll look at what you're wearing and how you dress in certain situations, and you don't ever want to be the person who's not dressed properly for the situation. If you were to show up to a funeral wearing basketball shorts, everybody would probably point at you and kind of laugh and say, "Oh, what are they doing? What are they thinking? What's wrong with them?" But, I mean, maybe not laugh at you, they'd be pissed, right? That's inappropriate. You just don't do that, right? If you go to a wedding and you show up at a wedding in jeans, any of you been to weddings before? Did you wear jeans to that wedding? I mean, unless the wedding's out on the beach, there are some weddings that are more casual, but for most weddings, you don't show up in jeans. There's always one guy who will show up to the wedding in jeans, and then it's usually an uncle, right? And everybody's looking at that uncle who shows up in the jeans and the polo shirt, and is like, "What's wrong with him? Doesn't he know how to dress?" And everybody points and snickers and judges. For many of your athletic events, not only is there a right thing to wear and a wrong thing to wear, there's actually straight up uniforms. And those uniforms, depending on the sport, are designed to make it easier to participate in the sport. There are appropriate uniforms to wear. I wouldn't wear football pads to go to swim practice. I wouldn't wear a swimsuit to football practice, right? I mean, there's a right thing to wear and a wrong thing to wear in pretty much all circumstances and all situations. Every step you take, every move you make, people are judging you. They're forming judgments on you. And you might not care what they think of you, but sometimes that stuff will come back to haunt you later on. And they may not mean anything to you at the moment, but long term, people are judging you. People are judging your behavior. People are judging the way you act, the way you treat each other, and for better or worse, people judge the way you dress. I mean, it's sad but true. Many of you formed an opinion on me based on what I wore to class in the first day, maybe on what I wear today. A lot of people tell me, you don't know how to match, you don't know how to figure out what you're wearing, right? I mean, and some of you all lie, but it's true, right? I just try to pick a tie for every day, and some people sometimes they're like, "Oh, that matches, that's cool." It's like, yeah, the wife picked it out and did that day, right? I mean, but you have formed a judgment on me based on what I wear, based on how I act, how I portray myself, and so whether you like it or not, your clothing matters. And as such, there are certain situations where you should wear certain types of clothing in order to not only just dress appropriately for the occasion, but also to give a sense of seriousness, to show the world that you are serious about business, to show the world that you are confident. I hate wearing ties. I know that's probably hard to grasp because I wear one every day, except Friday. But why do I wear a tie? Because it shows that I'm serious about business. It shows that I'm serious about my job and serious about what I'm doing. It provides a positive public image. I can tell you that I dress differently when I have parent-teacher conferences. When I go to parent-teacher conference, I make sure that the wife picks out the clothes so that they match, and always wear a suit and a tie. Because I don't wear a suit to class most days, but on those days where there's a proper way to dress, got to make a good first impression for parents. Likewise with a wedding. I hate wearing a tuxedo. Probably the worst thing in the world, the most uncomfortable thing in the world to wear is a tuxedo. But at the end of the day, you look good when you wear them, and it gives you that sense of confidence, which I think a lot of people wear them to very fancy events. So I'm telling you all of this because throughout the course of your life, you are going to be put in situations where you're going to be asked to dress a certain way. If you're going into a job interview, I'd recommend you at least put a shirt and tie on. If you're a gentleman, ladies, I'd recommend that you wear something nice when you walk into a job interview. No matter what the job is, you know, if you show up in jeans and a t-shirt, maybe if it's fast food, you might get hired. Maybe some of those low-level jobs, but you go to any serious job interview wearing jeans and a t-shirt, or wearing a hoodie or a pair of basketball shorts, probably not going to get hired. Because there is a right thing to wear and a wrong thing to wear, and people judge you based on that. If you go to a funeral, gentlemen, shirt and tie, ladies, nice dress or nice pair of pants. Because there's a right thing to wear and a wrong thing to wear. People judge you based on society's norms. So one of the things that we're going to talk about for a second is mock Congress. Throughout the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing mock Congress. There are 4 days where we are actually going to be on the floor of the United States House of Representatives. Next Thursday and Friday, we're going to do committee hearings. And then after that, on May 2nd and May 3rd, we're going to do amendments and voting on the final bill. And those will be 4 days of in-class in the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives has a dress code. There are things that are appropriate to wear in a given situation. And so ideally, if you are dressing for the House of Representatives, you would need to wear what is considered business or at least business casual dress. So for ladies, that means a skirt or a dress or dress pants. For gentlemen, it means a suit with button-down tie. For everybody, it means dress shoes. I'll tell you something that makes you look ridiculous is when you get all dressed up really nice. You put on a nice dress or you put on a nice pair of pants and a shirt and tie, and then you got the bright white Nikes going on. There is nothing more awkward than seeing somebody with dress clothes and then wearing tennis shoes. And so ideally, in a perfect situation, in a perfect world, for our days of mock Congress, I'd like you to dress in a professional manner. So these people are all dressed in very professional manners. You can see either a nice pair of pants or a nice dress skirt. If you are a woman, a gentleman, a suit and tie, that would be ideal if you could wear that. Again, we see the idea, you can look this PowerPoint up on Moodle. Business dress and business professional, business casual kind of shows you what you should wear in a formal situation. Things like funerals, things like job interviews, and if you're going to a business meeting or a very formal business meeting, you would wear something like this. Some things that you probably could wear if you don't have business clothes, if you don't have the proper clothes, things that would make you look better than wearing a pair of basketball shorts, better than wearing a pair of jeans. Things like cargo pants look a little bit nicer. Things like polo shirts look a little bit nicer than a t-shirt. If you wear a sweater, better than nothing, better than just wearing a polo, but still a little bit more casual. But these are things that would make you look a little bit better in mock Congress than just straight up wearing. No offense, most of you are wearing now. What most of you are wearing now is perfectly okay for class on a daily basis, but in a business meeting, you wouldn't wear the things that you're wearing now. Things in a business meeting setting, jeans would not be considered acceptable. Shorts would not be considered acceptable. Yoga pants and sweatpants of any kind would not be considered acceptable in a business meeting. T-shirts and hoodies, not acceptable in a business meeting. Let's see, other things that are not acceptable. Sweatshirts. I said casual sweaters. This doesn't really matter much now, but like around Christmas time, you get the ugly Christmas sweater thing. An ugly Christmas sweater is not a business sweater, so try to avoid stuff like that. And generally speaking, any shirt with any type of writing on it would be considered not acceptable in a business situation. If you've got writing on your shirt, that is generally not a business situation. Other things that would not be acceptable in the business world, in a formal business meeting, things that are frowned upon in churches, things that are frowned upon in funerals and weddings, wearing boots. Unless they're dress boots, and there's a very fine line between dress boots and just kind of casual, informal boots. Hats would never be acceptable in a formal business setting. Gum is not acceptable in a business setting. And jackets, except for a sports coat or a suit coat, would not be acceptable. So you walk in wearing your varsity coat. That's not something you would wear in a business setting. If they are nice, if they are formal, then yes, it's probably better than nothing. But there's a real fine line. So when we do our mock Congress, I'm going to ask you to please dress for the situation. We're going to call it dress for success. Dress for a business type atmosphere. We're going to have a lot of people lined up to come in. A lot of outsiders are going to be walking in, looking at you, and you're going to set an impression for what people think of the school, our school's reputation, what people think of U.S. students. Are you serious about business? Are you serious about what you're doing? Or, are you not so serious? And honestly, if you want people to take you seriously, you got to act seriously. It may not directly correlate that minute for you, but later on in the day, later on in your life, later on in your academic careers, when you want to negotiate with the administration about stuff, when you want to talk to the administration about various different things, when you're upset about the dress code, bless you, or ways you're being treated in class or stuff like that, if you present yourself in a formal, professional manner, the administration and teachers will take you seriously. However, if you act like a yahoo most of the time, you dress very unprofessionally most of the time, if you're kind of a jerk most of the time, but then all of a sudden you want something, people are very less likely to take you seriously. And especially when it comes to the administration, especially when it comes to teachers, people judge you based on the way you dress, the way you act, the way you prepare for certain situations. So my recommendation would be, hopefully at this point in your life, hopefully you've got some business clothes in your wardrobe. I think most of you who play sports, you have to dress up for sporting events. I know your teams make you dress up on game day. I've seen you guys dress up on game day. So you probably already have some nicer clothes. If you don't, my big recommendation right now would be to buy some. If you don't have nice clothes, I would buy a set of nice clothes, a set of business clothes, because you're going to need them coming up in your life, whether it be for a job interview, a wedding, a funeral. These are all situations in which people are going to expect that you dress for the occasion, that you dress for success. If you don't have dress clothes and you don't want to go out and buy any new clothes, I get it, I understand. Hopefully by this stage in your parents' life, they have dress clothes. Hopefully they've got something nice, and hopefully you're close enough in size to your parents where you can borrow something for a couple days and look at mom and dad's clothes. If you don't have anything and mom and dad don't have any business clothes, there are over 6,000 students in this school. I know you guys all have lots of friends. You're very social people. You might want to talk to your friends. See if you can borrow some clothes for a day. If you're on a budget and you want to buy some stuff pretty cheap, the Salvation Army and other thrift stores, you can get a suit and tie for about $5, maybe $10. You get a nice suit, get a nice tie, get some nice looking stuff, and it's not really that expensive. And if all else fails, if you need something and money really is an issue and you can't afford it and you can't find anybody in the school who will let you borrow something, mom and dad don't have anything you can borrow, let me know and like sooner rather than later, like the next couple days, and I will do my best to get you stuff so that you can dress for success and you can look good, not just for this but for future occasions. If you got a job interview or a wedding or a funeral or something you got to go to. My goal is to help you to get the clothing you need. So if you don't have stuff, I'm sure I can put something together. I can find somebody who will get the clothes for you. So just let me know in the next day or two if you don't have stuff like this. So I would really, honestly, seriously, I would prefer if you can please dress for success and show signs of that you're mature, that you're confident, and that you know how to dress for the occasion for our mock Congress. Because we do have some civic leaders coming in from the community. The school board, the school superintendent will be coming in. We've got a number of people, high-ranking people who are coming in, and just your parents are coming in, and I think it's important to put on a good impression for them. Yeah, I would hope that if you could on the 4 days, and they're listed on your calendar, the 2 committee hearing days and the 2 floor hearing days, if you could please dress for success, I would greatly appreciate it. Any questions? Sure, I know you have a question. No. I mean, I can't make you dress up. It's a school rule, it's a school policy. But just remember, I mean, people are judging you. People, every step you take, every move you make, people judge the way you dress. If you think I'm just making this up out of nowhere, the House of Representatives has an official dress code. The dress code for the House of Representatives, this is written in the rules. Members should dress appropriately, which has traditionally been considered to include a coat and tie for male members and appropriate attire for female members. Members should not wear overcoats or hats on the floor or while the House is in session. No eating, drinking, smoking is permitted. The use of personal electronic equipment, including cellular telephones and laptop computers, is banned on the floor of the House of Representatives. This is in the House Rules, Clause 5 of Rule 17 of the House of Representatives. So straight up, if you show up as a member of Congress and you don't want to look professional just because you want to look professional, they will kick you out in Congress. Now, again, this is high school class. I can't hold it against you. There's a school rule that says that I have to provide you anything that you need, and if you don't want to dress up, I mean, just remember, people are judging you. Every step you take, every move you make. People are watching you, and they're forming an opinion on you, and we want to put on a good impression for people. Questions? Everybody good?